Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Criterion Collection review series, where we're going through my personal Criterion Collection as I rewatch and watch some of them for the first time and give my thoughts and opinions on these incredible films. And today's movie is one I am excited to talk about. It is very interesting. It's this director's first film and really shows a unique perspective on sort of an old genre staple. And that would be the 1993 Spanish film Cronos, which is Guillermo Del Toro's directorial debut and is number 551 in the collection. So normally in these reviews, this is when I hold up the copy and show it off and all of that good stuff. But this is a little different because I don't own Cronos on its own. What I do own is this pack released by Criterion, which comes with Del Toro's first three Spanish language fairy tale films, so Cronos, The Devil's Backbone, and Pan's Labyrinth. And I've had this set for a while, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous box set. I'll just show off the inside. So you have this, which then, each one flips out almost like a mechanism or like some kind of almost like secret ancient text, like you have this for Cronos, you flip this out, and then you get The Devil's Backbone, flip this out, and then you get Pan's Labyrinth. And then in here would be the booklet, which I have conveniently taken out for now, just so I can reference it later. But the book itself, just to show it off, is gorgeous. It's this hardback copy with these stylized pages like this. So when I get to those two other films, I will be talking about them with this trilogy box set release rather than their individual releases. But as far as I'm aware, they are the same, with the same special features and quality and essays and things like that. So the plot is about this old man that runs an antique store in Mexico, and he has a wife and a granddaughter who is mute. I forget if she is actually mute or if she just chooses not to talk. It's one of those things. But either way, they're kind of the marriage between the grandfather and grandmother is a little passionless. It's losing a lot of its fire. But the real love is between him and his granddaughter. They clearly have a connection and clearly really care for each other. But one day, the antique store owner, he finds this golden scarab beneath a statue. And the golden scarab is this like ancient machine that when it grabs hold of him, it sort of creates this wound or this mark and injects some other form of blood into him. And he starts to slowly gain a taste and a lust for blood. He's afraid of the sun. He's growing pale. He's sleeping in a container, like a box. And so it's very clear that he's becoming a vampire. But at the same time, he's being pursued by an old, wealthy man who is sort of a germaphobe or is very afraid of capturing diseases and lives life in solitude. But he's searching for eternal youth, eternal life, which he believes the scarab will get him, and is sending out his brother, I believe, or his son, played wonderfully by Ron Perlman, who's sent out to sort of take the scarab and bring it back by any means necessary, which includes harassing and hurting this kindly old man. So right off the bat, what makes Cronos such a fascinating film and a really, really incredible debut? Because again, this is Del Toro's first feature film. I believe he was 28 when he made it or when it was released. What makes it so great is its unique take on the vampire mythos and genre, where it's not in like a gothic castle, it's not sexy, it's not overly traditional, right? This is something where it's a machine-based thing, right? Where you have this device that turns you into a vampire, and within the scarab there is like a creature or a bug that is sort of facilitating this blood transfer. There's mixtures of alchemy, of Catholic imagery, and metaphor. And him turning into a vampire, he's not growing fangs, he's not transforming into a bat or anything like that. He is sort of he just sort of gains this insatiable hunger and almost addiction, right, for blood, and he hates the sunlight and he can't die, and just all these different things. And it's, you know, it's very nasty, right? It's not glorified, it's not anything that you necessarily want. It is an addiction. It is something that is so grotesque, a lot of gore, a lot of body horror. Not even gore, just blood, right? It's a very bloody film, and there's a lot of body horror and like needles and just prickly things that are just not okay to see. But you know, this grotesque vampire narrative, right? This narrative is mixed with a lot of childlike, goofy fairy tale elements, which this is Del Toro's first attempt at doing that in a feature film. And of course would become a staple of his throughout the rest of his career, marrying darker tones and images and ideas and socio-political issues with childlike wonderment, fairy tales, things like that, where the villains, who are Americans sort of invading this space, are very cartoonish, very over the top, very fantasy, you know, they don't feel real. But they're very easy to hate because of that. They're very easy to dislike. And then the relationship between the grandfather and his granddaughter is very sweet, is very well developed, is very nice, and is really engaging and really helps to get you involved in the plot, in the narrative. But then beyond that, beyond these relationships and beyond the way it's told, it's just an expertly crafted film. Even though this is Del Toro's first film, he clearly has a handle on storytelling, on pacing, on, you know, themes and thematic things and metaphors and stuff like that, and it's all expertly, extremely well done. So when I first watched this film back in September, I thought it was a good film and I enjoyed it, and it was really interesting, and I watched some of the special features. But this second time around, since it had been fairly recent since I'd seen it, not even a full year, I decided to watch it with the commentary, and there are two tracks. One is with Del Toro himself discussing the film, and one is with the producers of the film. I watched the one with Del Toro, and of course, if you know anything about Del Toro, he is a massive nerd, and he gets super passionate and engaged and just gives so much life and energy to what he's talking about and clearly cares about it. So it makes it a very engaging and fun watch. You know, just hearing him about all of the different ways that he tried to make this movie work, you know, just seeing the strains he was under, how much of a budgetary concerns he had, how he gave everything to this film, and what ways they found to give like Hollywood level production and effects, but you know, by themselves doing crazy, you know, almost like film school-esque tricks. It's insane. But what I really gathered from this commentary track and helped me to appreciate the film a lot more is just how much Del Toro has thought about and considered the film and its meanings and intentions and the color scheme, the themes, what it's about, because watching it the second time, especially with the help of Del Toro's commentary, it helped me to see the economic side of it, right? Where you have these, you know, there's different types of greed and lust and addiction, where there's the vampiric one of sucking blood and resistance to the sunlight and, you know, a desire to live forever. But then you have the villains who are sort of a capitalistic vampire, where they just want money and power, but, you know, they're hollow within. They don't really have anything, you know, there's no reason for them to have that. They just want it so they can have it. There's no reason for them. They're not going to do anything with that internal life. They're just going to live forever because that's what they want to do. And just keep making money, I guess. And he talks a lot about like alchemy and, you know, the filmmaking aspect of it. And it really helped me to appreciate the film even more than I already did, and really admire it and admire Del Toro as a filmmaker. I was already a fan of his, and not only of his films, but of him as a person. But this release really helped me to see that, and to see how much passion and love goes into everything he makes. And it just, you know, again, it's just super impressive for a first feature, and a really interesting and unique take on the vampire genre and vampire mythos that is not only specific to Mexico and to sort of a Spanish-speaking culture or mentality, but also to Del Toro himself, incorporating his own interests and desires and knowledge into this film. And it's fantastic. It's not one of his best films. There are some issues here and there, just like minor pacing issues, just little things that don't always work, but it's super endearing. It's super just fun to watch, well made, but if you want to go and dig in deeper, Del Toro has given you all the tools you need to figure out this movie and what it's trying to say beneath the surface. And this release from Criterion, this disc, does a great job of further expanding the conversation with a lot of interviews and behind the scenes type of things, and discussions about the film. There, of course, the commentary tracks, there's interviews with Del Toro. There's a really great featurette where they're going through his house, which is just, if you don't know about Guillermo Del Toro's house, it is just a museum of horror artifacts and macabre, or just like a showcase of the macabre. And it's very fascinating, it's very fun, it's very interesting. You also get one of his first short films called Geometria, I want to say it's called, but it's sort of like a horror comedy, easily inspired by like Italian cinema, and it's very goofy, it's very ridiculous. It's essentially like leading up to one punchline, but that punchline is very funny in my opinion. You even get an interview with Del Toro looking back at that short and seeing how inspirational it was for him in his career. But then beyond that, it's just a lot of great behind the scenes stuff. And then you also get, within the booklet, you get a really great essay written by, make sure I get this name right. It's written by Michael McDonough, which is really great at giving you sort of like this film's place not only in Mexican cinema, but within Del Toro's career, and why it was so important for him, and how it didn't really reach an audience in America at first, but did become an international success. It's really interesting. And then the most interesting part, which I believe comes with all of the films here, are these behind the scenes notes, where you have script notes written by Del Toro for the actors and the production. That's not only, hey, this is how the movie should feel, here's the colors we should use, here's what the characters are like, here's what makes them important and makes them tick, but there's also like essays, right, about like alchemy and gothic horror and things like that again show Del Toro's dedication to these topics and ideas, and his ability to marry them with so many different ideas that make it uniquely him, that make it a uniquely Del Toro film. And it's an incredible resource to have. And as far as I'm aware, I don't know if those director's notes come with the individual release of Cronos, but of course it comes with this box set, which is 100% worth picking up. Not only if you're a fan of Del Toro, but if you want like a film school in a box, right? If you want to learn all the tricks and trades of making even a large budget film, just making your own films, it's simply spectacular. But yeah, Cronos is a great film. This release from Criterion is fantastic. I really, really recommend this, especially if you are a fan of Pan's Labyrinth, Devil's Backbone, Crimson Peak, Shape of Water, and you haven't seen where his career began. This is an incredible, incredible starting point. But either way, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it. If you want more people to see it, please share it around. Also, please let me know in the comments what you think about Del Toro, what you think about Cronos. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Also, I know I don't talk about this a lot, but I'm going to try to make a better effort of bringing up in my reviews. But I do have a Patreon. No one's a part of it yet. But if you want to be on the ground floor of that, go ahead and click the link in the description. Any donation of any level is really appreciated. But for now, it's just fun, and if anyone wants to give me money for it, whatever you can spare, I really appreciate it. But more importantly, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, where next time we're going to be looking at the Brian De Palma thriller, almost horror film, Blowout with John Travolta, which is going to be a really interesting film to talk about. But thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.